In this video, I'm going to show you the fundamentals of making your first beats using a simple approach. Hey, what's up? I'm TC from TCMuze.com. Welcome to my first How to Make Beats Now video. We're going to make this beat by only using 3 components, 1 drum beat, 1 bass, and 1 melodic element. Remember, when you start making your beats, they don't have to be perfect. We're composing something that we can build upon. We'll start with the tempo and the loop cycle. 138 for the tempo, loop set at 8 bars. We're going to be in C major. That's only playing the white keys. We'll use the chords C major 7 and F major 7. Here's a diagram of what those chords look like. Quick note, the C major 7 is played in the second inversion, which means that we take the bottom 2 notes and move them up to the top. And the F major 7 is played in the root position. Let me know if you want me to do a quick video on building major 7 chords or inversions down in the comments. Also, I'm only going to be using stock virtual instruments and plugins from my DAW, Digital Performer. Okay, so for the melodic element, we're going to use the UVI workstation. That opens to a classic EP, it has auto pan, chorus, and some delay. Now, the pattern that we're going to be using for the melodic element will be 1 chord every 2 measures, playing the C major twice, then the F major twice. So let's record those chords in. Now for the bass, I'll use Motu synth instrument MX4. I went ahead and built my own custom bass. I pitched down all the oscillators 12 semitones to get that low bass feel. So here are the oscillators there. I used a sine for the first, a sine for the second, but I changed the symmetry. And then I used the sawtooth just to give it a little bit of buzz so it could be heard easier on smaller speakers. For the pattern that we're going to use, it's going to be alternating between the root note and the octave. Let's record that in. Now at the end, I played a G. That G is gonna lead us nicely back into C. If you're liking this video, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Now let's move on to the drums. Now for the drums, I'm opening up a instance of Motu's Model 12 drum module. For the drum sounds, I decided to use some samples that I got for free at cymatics.com. To load the samples, I did a simple drag and drop onto the open sample bank that I wanted. So there we go. Now we're gonna do a really simple drum pattern. I'll play in the kick, snare, and the hi-hat just to show how simple it is. The kick is just on the 1 and then the 2. The snare is gonna always be on the 3, and the hi-hat is gonna be on every beat of every measure. So I went ahead and I separated all the drum elements out into individual tracks, either the kick, the snare, the hi-hat. Then I added a few more percussive sounds, but I kept these very simple, only adding in like a hit every 2 bars for each individual component. The last thing that I wanted to add was like a little vocal phrase. So what I did was I recorded myself, not the greatest of singers, so prepare yourself, but recorded myself. And let's just take a quick listen to what that sounds like. So as you can hear, I processed it. So let's go through really quickly what I used in order to get that sound. Here are the plugins that I used. I used the 1176 emulation that came with Digital Performer. Then I used the LA2A emulation. Same thing, stock with Digital Performer. I used the plate reverb, EQ'd the low off, EQ'd the low off, then EQ'd the top off. Put on a delay. I put on another reverb, but we'll get back to that. I'll show you what I use that for, because you can see it's currently bypassed. So the last thing I put on was a trim tool, because after all the delays and everything, it was pretty low. So I boosted it by 15 dB just to get it back up in the mix. All right. The other thing that I wanted to do was not just have that vocal phrase come in out of nowhere. I kind of wanted a swell. So what I did was the old reverse reverb trick. Let's take a quick look and see how I did that for those that don't know. So what I did was I took maybe about that much, maybe about an eighth note of the vocal shot. And then from there, I just added back that reverb program that I had. So I put that reverb on there. And then what I did was I just went ahead and rendered that out for about this much. So here's what that rendered version sounds like. It's here on the bottom. Now, what that did, it didn't sound like all that great, but what we wanted to do is reverse it. So what I did was I selected it, went into my audio, apply plugins here, found the reverse effect, put in reverse, select it. So after that rendered, what I did with the reversed vocal with the reverb is I put in some fade so it kind of swells in and swells out. So once I got my vocals processed, I just dropped it right back in the track. I went ahead and put together a little sequence. I mixed it slightly using the stock plugins. And then for my master bus, I put on a little Ozone Elements 8. That's the only non-stock plugin that I use. All right, let's take a listen at the final sequence. Let's see what we have.